Hi there movie fans, and welcome to another edition of Movies. Today we're training our sights on The Killer from director David Fincher, which received a short cinema release in 2023 before streaming on Netflix. The plot is a simple one, following a path well trodden by lead characters in previous films such as The American, The Mechanic, The Driver, Drive. That of the insular, stoical lone wolf focused exclusively on getting the job done as quickly, efficiently, effectively and unemotionally as possible. So we have Michael Fassbender as the eponymous killer, but going by a number of amusing aliases throughout the film, who was hired on a contract killing, an Annie Oakley job, i.e. from distance with a rifle, that oddly goes awry after a stakeout in Paris. Following his employer's efforts to tidy up the killer's mess, removing all trace of the fiasco, including the killer himself, the film follows a neat, linear and unsurprising revenge-style movie with surely only one possible outcome. After all, the killer does not give a fuck. This is not an ensemble movie. The cast list is a narrow one, but each role is played to the fullest. There is Hodges, who runs the agency that employs the killer, played by Charles Parnell as the type you'd demand to speak to if you'd received poor customer service at your local grocery store. Kerry O'Malley plays Hodges' secretary Dolores with a mix of understandable fear and resignation. The brute Sala Baker is there to add some beef to proceedings. Sophie Charlotte plays the killer's girlfriend, Magdala, appearing only briefly but central to understanding the forces that begin to cut across the killer's mantra for survival: forbid empathy, fight only the battles you're paid to fight, etc. Then there is Tilda Swinton as the expert, aka Q-Tip, who has only one scene, but boy does she steal it, sitting down to dinner with the killer, making small talk, chewing over the meaning of life with him and contemplating all at once how the tables might yet be turned. It is a riveting 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. But this film isn't about Q-Tip. It's not even about the plot, as rudimentary as it is. The focus, the fascination, lies all with Fassbender's main character and the contradictions he ultimately has to face. He is a loner, he trusts no one, but if he didn't have deep-seated feelings for Magdala, the movie would be cut short by about 3/4. And his determination for revenge, all up-close wet work, begins to run counter to his modus operandi for living, as the killer himself comes to realise and acknowledge. Outside whatever psychological motivations are propelling the killer towards his ultimate goals, his methods for completing each grisly task at hand are a thoroughly absorbing watch, where the devil is in so much detail. The opening 20 minutes of the film, with the killer waiting opportunity to take a shot from a Paris high-rise window, is devoid of any action, but you're drawn into his world immediately, watching him stretch and stare unblinkingly, devoid of any emotion, whilst listening to his inner voice run down the rules for a successful operation. If you like method porn, then this movie is right up your alley. And that focus and methodology is largely maintained throughout the movie, notwithstanding the killer's becoming the spear itself rather than the tip of it thrown by Hodges. So he continues with his vanilla wardrobe, and the only emotion he might ever be feeling at any moment, beyond the slight but distinctive eye flicker at the very end of the movie, is what the killer's inner voice is prepared to tell you. Like the film itself, and like most other pictures in the Fincher canon, it's bled of any colour, see Social Network, Seven, Fight Club, Panic Room et al., but remains a riveting watch nonetheless. Fincher does allow some lines of comedy to add levity to the tension, which translates as nervous laughter when delivered, but there is a tension aplenty here, most notably the opening Paris sequence and subsequent fleeing of the scene, the dinner sequence with the expert we've mentioned, and the will he, won't he exchange towards the end of the film with the client, Alice Howard, who requested the Paris hit in the first place and on whose behalf subsequent events unfold unbeknownst to the seemingly oblivious Alice. There are some minor gripes to be had in what is nonetheless, for me, one of the films of the year. The killer achieves focus on a job by listening to the Smiths. It's not a crime in itself, though some might beg to differ, but the sound is loud when we view the scenes from the killer's perspective, but is then muted as we observe them from our own. It's quite annoying, especially during the Paris hit played out to How Soon Is Now, like an irritating child playing with the volume control on your stereo. And the other frustration is a procedural dislike. The killer brings this all on himself by waiting on a 60 beats per minute heart rate before pulling the trigger. Now, I'm no expert, but that strikes me as completely unprofessional. It adds to the tension here, but just get the shot off, why don't you? Then again, if he'd listened to my advice, the film would be over in 15 minutes and we wouldn't get to enjoy a master of his craft at work. That applies to Fincher, Fassbender and the killer. And anyway, they wouldn't give a fuck what I thought. We hope you do, however, and if that is so, then we would thank you for watching and we hope you can subscribe to our channel. Please comment on our reviews. We love to hear from you and we always respond, but otherwise look forward to more movie reviews from us soon.